Hey everyone, welcome back to the Really Living podcast. We're so excited to be with you here today. For our hosts, I'm Ashley, Eugene, Hanna. So we're continuing on in our series with looking at societal issues from a Christian perspective. And today we're going to be talking about weed and alcohol consumption. Mm-hmm. So we're going to be hot, which basically I call hot, honest, open, and transparent. That's my acronym for it. Okay. So before we get into the conversation, I just have a disclaimer. Okay. So we understand this topic can be triggering for some people. So if you feel as if you're not ready to participate or listen to this conversation, it's totally fine. Do what you feel is best for you. We also want to recognize that people do live with dependencies to weed and alcohol. And so we also want to acknowledge that the conversations we're having today and the populations we're talking about is not those groups of people. Okay, so if you feel as if you're looking for resources related to alcohol use or smoking, you can reach out to any of your local communities or organizations. And we can also maybe provide some general resources and links in our bio below. Okay, so to get started, folks, knowing we're talking about alcohol and weed, or marijuana. I feel like I'm using the street term for weed.
Okay.
My first question is, do you guys think that drinking and smoking weed fall under the same category or umbrella? Why or why not?
I mean, I believe they do, only because of like the way how the laws have changed so much and just how we look at certain substances versus just drinking. Because before it was just smoking. Mm-hmm. Right. When we looked at smoking, smoking was this cool thing that people used to do back in the 70s and even now. Mm-hmm. And when you look at it in a way that if somebody's driving under the influence or anything like that, it's still categorized in the same aspect. So I'd say yes.
That's a good point.
Yeah. No, I would agree. I think at the end of the day, like they're still substances. They're both, mind altering. Like they both have effects and can have consequences. And so I would categorize them as the same.
Okay. Yeah. So quick summary or backstory, I guess. What is your guys' personal relationships that you've had with marijuana or alcohol use in the past or present?
I mean, for myself, I've had the opportunity to be in spaces and with people, and I myself have partaken in drinking and smoking of marijuana. First, I guess I would say in high school. That's for myself. That's where it all started. But I will say, leading up to even just smoking in itself, I was always the person to be like, "No, I'm not going to do that." So it's like something that happened like later on in my life. I was like, "Okay, I'm in 12th grade. I can make my own decisions now. I can partake in this out of my own decision without realizing what I was really opening myself up to."
Yeah, no, same for me. I think it was high school. And it might have been earlier than like grade 12. It might have been like grade 10 even where I was like first introduced to that stuff. But it wasn't like, it was just like, oh, have a taste, have a puff or whatever. But it wasn't really consistent, I think, until I was in a relationship where it was just very common and normal and accepted, and it was really just based on the people like I was surrounding myself with, right? Like it was influence. It was me just like fitting in. To be honest, I didn't even enjoy it, especially the smoking, because afterwards, we were talking about this earlier, I like would wake up the next day and I would have like this lagging sensation, and the best way I can describe it is like if you were in a movie and you know how you have like different scenes. And it would be like every movement that I took, it would be like I was skipping a scene. Like I was skipping a frame. And so like for my body, it was terrible. And so I did it a few times for over the course of a couple months. And I said, you know what, I can't do this again. But alcohol took a little bit longer to kind of like grow out of. But I wouldn't say it was ever really a dependency or anything like that. It was really just a social thing that I was doing, to fit in, to be cool.
No, you find that like everybody is accepting of the fact that, you do it. So just like you said, like the people that you surround yourself with, and even just understanding like, okay, if I'm going to be in this environment, am I going to be with my people or am I not going to be with them, right?
Yeah. So, I even find when you bring up the word accepting, some people still find alcohol more accepting than marijuana.
Yeah, that's true.
I just find that interesting. But I would say similar to you guys as well. Like I think my alcohol use started, I think, earlier in high school, and then my marijuana use started later in high school, but all within, the 4 years of high school. And it took me a little bit longer to kind of grow out of that. Both, honestly, if I'm being real. I think I stopped consuming alcohol more heavily, I guess, as in like going out and partying and stuff like that. Earlier in university, and then for marijuana use, it took me after university actually to stop smoking that. So yeah, okay. So why do you think that some Christians have felt or feel the desire to smoke and drink, usually beginning in the years that we talked about, like late teens, early young adult years? Like, why?
I mean, I think it's because that's all you see. Like, no matter if you're watching TV or a movie or just watching just people, right? Each and everywhere you go, there's always going to be some type of substance abuse. Like, not even just on the TV standpoint. If you're walking down the street, like here in Hamilton, there's a lot of people just drinking and smoking and just doing whatever it is that they can get their hands on. And you see that people are really suffering from these things. And I'm always going to bring it back to the realization of what you're opening yourself up to. Because you see these people walking down the street and you're like, who are they really looking at? Why are they doing all these things? And it's like, oh, they're really dealing with things that are beyond what we can even understand. So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and those influences can even come from like family, parents, siblings, whatever. But back to the question of like why, it's so desirable as like a young person, as a teen. I think it's because like during those years you're such in like this like prime development stage. And all you want to do is fit in. And so I feel like the desire to smoke or to drink or whatever it is, to party even, is rooted in the desire to fit in.
Yeah, and I think it doesn't discriminate whether you're Christian or not. Like, you're going to feel that desire of wanting to fit in with your friend group. Yeah.
And also, even the fact that because you're Christian, you're always told no, right? You're always in this space of like, okay, well...
Can't do this, can't do that.
All my friends do it, and everybody else does it. Because even for myself, I would see my uncles doing it. Yeah. So then it was like, oh, so drinking is okay.
Yeah. And they're telling you not to do it. And it's like,
Should I listen to what you say or do what you're doing?
Yeah, I definitely had a rebellious spirit, I'll say. I think a lot of that had to do with because you're just preached really hard to not do these things. Yeah. Okay, so if you guys when you think about a Christian who does smoke and drink, at least for me anyways, like my personality, I feel like I'm pretty bubbly in general, but I would almost be more joyful, or, I would laugh a lot more, or I would be more outgoing, because I can be a little bit shy sometimes in social settings that I'm not super familiar with the people in the environment with. So when you think of those characteristics for people, Christians specifically, who smoke and drink, what do you think that says about their spiritual maturity?
That it's lacking in an area, or they haven't gone to that point where they understand where they are, or they're trying to discover exactly where they are.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think I would agree. Like, I would say it's weak in the sense that they're trusting and looking for worldly methods to put on, a mask or improve themselves or find themselves or whatever. Whereas, like, maybe you are introverted. Maybe you, I don't know, get more extroverted or more bubbly when you're under these influences. But if that's something that you recognize that you want to work on, why not ask the Lord to work in your heart? Why not use other methods of building character rather than relying on substances to do that? And so I think, it definitely shows a weakness in your faith and in your spiritual walk in general, because you're saying, okay, I'm trusting these substances to have a good time, to be social, to be better, quote unquote, rather than trusting God to work in me to be better.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think for me, it was so interesting because whenever I would be smoking marijuana, like if I was, when I was living with my roommates in my undergrad, we would have the most introspective, deep conversations. And a lot of the times, I was the only Christian in the household. So great example, Ashley. but we would talk about God a lot. We would be talking about evolution and things like that. So for me, I was almost justifying smoking because I was like, this is a way for me to almost be a witness because this is how my roommates are being open to these conversations and dialogues. Yeah, so that's honestly how I justified it. But I think going to the root, and I think what helped me, post smoking Ashley, I still desire to have those conversations. Yeah. So I think for me, even more in a practical sense, something that I really do enjoy when I talk to my friends or what even like looking for in a romantic partner, I want to be able to have those conversations with people, but as sober. So I think that was something that I knew within myself, in addition to being spiritually weak, that I was just lacking. I knew that if I didn't have those conversations sober, I knew that I would be lacking something. But I realized I didn't need to be smoking in order to have those conversations. You could still delve down those routes and paths, like as being a sober mind.
Exactly. And that just like paints the picture that Jesus literally did. He sat with sinners, he ate with them, he talked with them, but he never partook in their sins. And so that's basically what you've essentially like stepped into, right?
Yeah.
I guess a lot of us, when we're younger, we could use the excuse of, I got to get in that scene. I got to be with them where they are, to meet them where they are. But really, it doesn't mean that you have to partake and, contribute to what they're doing as well in their sinful actions. But
I will say, like, for some people that are going through that right now, it's because I was watching this video and there's this group of people talking about what they were dealing with substance abuse. So it's like, even in the midst of them doing all these substances, God will still meet you in where you are.
Absolutely.
And yes, smoking marijuana, it opens your mind to all these introspective thoughts, in these different ways you could look at it. Because I myself went through that. I was sitting down on a bench with all my friends and smoking. And then all of a sudden I'm just there. I'm like, what if the trees are the real thing, and the shadow and this and that? And you're just dude, what are you talking about? And like, as I was watching this video, just to bring it back to that point, where Jesus met him was in him smoking weed. So for him to even understand, because it opened his mind up to these things, he understood, okay, this is what God wants me to do. And me accepting Jesus in my heart, I can actually move forward and actually leave those things behind. So we see that the work that Jesus does within our hearts truly changes who we are and makes us the people that he wants us to be.
Yeah, for sure. You can definitely meet us anywhere, definitely. And we've talked about this before too as well, the idea of like when you're in these spaces, especially now that you've come out of, living those sorts of lifestyles, we've talked about being more intentional about what you choose, like what you choose to drink, like how you choose to engage in those environments. Because like for me personally, now present day, I'm a lot more intentional about. I still don't have an issue with having like a cocktail, for example, if I go out with friends. But if I'm with my friends who are not Christian and I know that I want to stand out and set myself apart, I'll still intentionally not have a drink. But if I'm around, say my Christian friends and they know my heart and they know who I am and my relationship with God, then I feel like, okay, like I'll have a cocktail. But I think it just depends on what works for you and what you're able to stand and not stand and what your personal conviction is as well with the Holy Spirit.
Question before we move on to the next point.
Yeah.
Where was it? Well, did you guys find it hard to let go of smoking weed and drinking?
Yeah. That's actually a question I had later on, but we can talk about it now. Yeah.
Did you guys find it hard? Because for myself, I found it really hard. Like, even sometimes now I still struggle with it, but I'm like, oh.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I kind of explained at the beginning, like for me, the smoking weed part, not at all, because I was traumatized. So I left that pretty easily. And I think the alcohol as well, like for me, it really was like my desire and doing it was really just to fit in. It was really just who I was surrounding myself with. Because as soon as I stopped surrounding myself with the people who were doing that, it wasn't even like a thought. Maybe like occasionally I was like, oh, it would be nice to party again. But then you like find fulfillment in other things, and so I never found myself really missing it. I will agree, like sometimes if I am with like my Christian friends or even with like my husband who knows my heart and we can have a drink together and be fine, then I'm still okay with that. But it's nothing that's like I need this or I crave this, and so for me it wasn't really like hard to let go. It was mainly just like the circles that I was in were really heavily tied to that.
Yeah, for sure. Alcohol was no issue at all. I did not like the whole experience of being under the influence of alcohol, so that was no issue for me. But I would say, yeah, for marijuana, it you know, again, you have great conversations and you like the way that it makes you feel, or I did anyways in the past. So that was something that was harder for me to let go of. Now I think I've gotten a lot better with it, but you know, I won't lie. Sometimes I do still think of those times, but I think you have to love Jesus more than you love the sin.
Yeah.
And so I think the path that I'm choosing now, I know is the one that he wants me to walk down, and it's better than, you know, what I could have ever thought I wanted, still smoking marijuana. So yeah, it's not something I would ever go back to.
Yeah, for me, drinking was never a thing. Like I even had an experience where my own uncle was trying to just try it out. It's only 5%. Like, well, that's a crazy way to influence a 15-year-old kid. But hey, you have people around you that will put you in places that you don't want to be in, and then you learn from those places. And drinking for me was never anything that I could just pick up and just, oh yeah, I didn't know I'd do this. I was never into drinking like that. But marijuana was the only thing I was like, okay, I could do this, just like yourself, as you're saying. Conversations and just different ways that your mind will go.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, awesome. Okay, so why should we as Christians care about being of sober mind? Because in the New Testament, Paul talks about being of sober mind. So why is that important? What is the purpose of being sober-minded in today's society as Christians?
Yeah, no, I think the importance is rooted in the fact that, okay, first of all, God created us a certain way, right? And I don't think that's something to be tampered with, right? And he also gives us wisdom and discernment and knowledge and these things that you can't possibly have or obtain if you're not sober-minded, you know? And so if we're trying to be better as Christians, as disciples, as believers and followers of Jesus, how can we possibly improve when our mind isn't even capable? Like, we're just putting up obstacles to literally physically and mentally improve. And so I think it's really important. And then that goes into not only like the physical sobriety, but also just like the spiritual sobriety of like realizing what is true, you know, what matters, what doesn't. And it goes forth from there, but it really starts with the physical, right? If you're not physically there, then how could you even like advance spiritually? Yeah.
I mean, I will say, even in I was reading the word the other day, and even in Ephesians 5 verse 18, it says, "Do not get drunk on wine, which leads to debauchery. Instead, be filled with the Spirit." So with that, we already understand it's like our body is a temple. So why is it that we want to harm ourselves, even though we know that this is a place of God? We're not just here just to do whatever we want, do whatever we want, and just be whatever. But we're here to actually be an example, walk in the Spirit, walk in the light.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think that's what it has to go back to, because you still hear people say about, oh no, I love going out with my friends and it's a good time and yada, yada, yada. But at the end of the day, like, yes, we're still called to be disciples and to be an example. And there's a verse in the Bible where it talks about you can do, I think you were talking about earlier, how you can do whatever you want essentially, but not everything is
First Corinthians.
Good. Yes. If you have that, you can pull that up now.
Yeah, 1 Corinthians 6:12 says, "Everything is permissible for me, but not everything is beneficial. I will not be mastered by anything." And I think that also ties back to like the first question of like, is weed and alcohol in the same category? I'm like, at the end of the day, these are all things we can do. We have free will. We can partake in these. They're mind altering, whatever. Doesn't mean they're good for us.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, I even think about too, like being of sober mind, how in a practical sense, like it's not just about, our walk isn't just about us. It's about how we can be, again, a witness and disciple for other people. So if, say, for example, this is just what I think about, like you're at home and you're like smoking weed or whatever. And then like a friend calls you up and they're like, I really need you to come pick me up. Like I'm in trouble. Like even in those practical senses of like you're blocking yourself or stopping yourself from being able to be of service to somebody else. So like I think, just being of sober mind in all cases for multiple reasons, both practically and spiritually, I think are very important. So Yeah.
I will say, even in 1 Peter 5 verse 8, be alert and sober-minded. Your enemy prowls around like a roaring lion, looking for someone to devour. So, just like you're saying, if you're not able to be of service, you're not able to do the things that you're called to do. So, being able to be of clear mind and understand, okay, just in case if something happens, I'm able to act.
Totally. Yeah. And the spiritual world is sorry, didn't really
No, it's okay.
the spiritual realm is a very real reality, and that you hear of experiences of people specifically who've smoked marijuana who have seen things in their high state, and like that's
Crazy.
real. So I think we also need to be able to protect our mind in that sense too, knowing that the enemy will use anything to get a foothold and cause you to stumble and cause you to, be faced with things that we're really not supposed to be exposed to.
100%. Even last time when we were at Vespers, I know I had said a comment about a video that I was watching as well, and how this person had an experience of going to heaven, and when he was in heaven, he saw this huge line of everybody just at the pearly gates and everything, but people weren't going in. So as everybody was getting judged and everything, people were just getting pulled to the side into whatever dimension they were going into, but he was so afraid, and he could feel the sin that this person was going through as everybody was up there. So it was kind of like a weird experience to even hear about it, because I'm like, how do people really experience this? But then even knowing that Isaiah, I forget the other person that went through that, John, John, who went up to heaven and saw all the different heavens and all that stuff. It's real, but for all these people that are experiencing these things now, are they truly experiencing that, or is it the devil just showing us a picture of what is or what isn't?
Exactly. Yeah. And that kind of takes me back to like the experiences you guys were sharing before of like, oh, you're in that mindset and like you're having all these like introspective thoughts and you can have like these open discussions about God and the universe and whatever. And the devil makes you want to believe that under these influences, you can have these conversations, you can be a witness, but it really is just a mind game and deceiving you into keeping you in that.
Totally.
And I agree that yes, Jesus can meet you where you're at, but you can't stay there if he's actually going to work in you.
Amen. Yeah, that's a word.
Yeah.
Okay, so on that note, what changes have you guys seen in yourself, if any at all, since moving on from the lifestyle of smoking weed and drinking?
For myself, being more aware of who I am just in certain spaces, the way I speak about my experiences in the past. If anybody even comes up and asks me, like, what was the things that made you even go into it? And just being able to tell them, like, even though it was a choice that I made myself, even knowing now that that wasn't a choice that I should have made. And it's something that everybody should really understand. It's like, for you to even make that decision, you're going against yourself, right? And it's not something that you should just jump into just because, everybody else is doing it. It looks cool, it's fun for a little bit, but like we know, everything is temporary. It's not going to be this whole fun and dandy at the end of the day.
Yeah, I think for me, since like stopping, I would just say like the experience has been freeing. Like it was always tied and followed up by so much shame, guilt, being like, okay, Friday night, I'm out here, and then Saturday, I'm in church, and it's like, what the heck am I doing? That with a lot of, like, same with a lot of other sins, it was freeing once I was out of that realm. And it goes beyond just, like, the consumption of it. It was really, like, the lifestyle and the people. Once I was just completely removed from that, I found, healthy boundaries with alcohol, and just a better way of living. And so I was able to just like fully have fun with Jesus rather than having fun with the world.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I totally agree with the freeing part. I think I definitely felt more free knowing that when I go into these spaces, I don't need to rely on a substance in order to feel as if I'm having a good time. Like I can work and allow Jesus to give me the strength to be more open and sociable in settings where I'm less comfortable, as opposed to relying on a substance to kind of give me that same. Yeah, so I definitely agree with that's the freedom aspect for sure was huge for me. And it definitely deepened my relationship with God overall as well. Because I did feel as if a part of me was almost like lying, or I had to hide this piece of who I was from him. So I didn't feel as if I was able to really walk into an open and honest relationship with him, knowing that I was still almost living a double life. And we do have to pick a side at some point. I think this is in Revelation where he says he doesn't like lukewarm Christians, right? Like it's either you got to be hot or cold, so pick a side. And I think I was lukewarm for a very long time. So, yeah. Okay, so I guess to kind of like wrap it up, what would you say to a teen or young adult Christian who is currently living the lifestyle of consuming alcohol and marijuana on a regular basis? What encouragement could you give to them?
That you're not alone, right? And you're going through something that you're searching. That's literally what you're doing, right? You're doing these things to either fit in or just be a part of a crowd, but you're not alone in that because we've also gone through that. And just showing them like this path is not going to lead you here, but you're gonna be in a place where you don't want to be, and just helping them, being a mentor. I don't know.
Yeah, that's real.
It can be strenuous just to try to help somebody, but then they don't want to. And I've had that experience myself, because you'll find that the people around you want you to do better, but then it's like, but no, I still like doing these things, and I'm still being pulled over here. It's like you're saying, being lukewarm. So
yeah, I would say there's more fun with Jesus. And that might sound corny and that might sound cheesy, but I was always the people that was knocking down church people. I was like, those people are weird. Those people are not it. Like, they don't know how to have fun. But trust me, we do. And it's a lot more rewarding when you can have fun freely, again, right? Without relying on anything, without feeling guilt after, shame, hiding from your parents or whoever.
Totally.
And so I would say, yeah, give your church community a chance, and there's better ways to have fun.
Yeah, that's good. I would also say, like, you think you may not be able to stop, but you actually can. And even if you feel as if it's not something you can totally let go of, you're always going to like have this desire, like, just know that Jesus will be there to walk with you and give you the strength to continuously choose to not go back to the lifestyle that you were living. So if you're afraid of stopping because you don't know if you can actually quit, like, sometimes it's going to take a couple of seasons or tries to actually stop, but just know that Jesus will sustain you through that. And when you eventually do make the decision, like, he will be there to guide you. And yeah, just also be very selective with who you surround yourself with too, because that's a very big factor that we both talked about. If you feel as if you're more tempted in certain spaces with certain people, you need to be bold enough and strong enough to decide to not hang out with those people anymore. And so it's up to you also. You need to be the one to make the choice and decision that you want to actually change your life. And so that's what I would say.
Totally.
Yeah, but okay. Well, that's it. That was a great conversation, folks. Thanks for all the input and the hotness, the honest, open, and transparency. I really appreciate it, because it can be a vulnerable conversation.
Yes.
And also, just to preface, we're not here to shame anybody for where you're at in life. And if you do feel shame and guilt, just know that doesn't come from God. That's from the enemy. So ultimately, we want you to feel as if you're able to overcome these things, and the Lord can set you free from anything. So just know you can lean into Him. Come out to Bible study with us and spend some time at Really Living, and we can walk through these changes and lifestyles with you. So yeah, okay, so we'll see you in our next episode, and thanks for watching.
Bye.
Bye.